This is KGW News at 11.
Thanks for joining us at 11 on this rainy Sunday night. I'm John Adams. It's 40 degrees in the Rose City. Today's warm up and that rain helping to melt that pesky ice across the Portland metro. But the Gorge and Central Oregon are still dealing with it. Right now, a nearly 70-mile stretch of Highway 97 is closed south of I-84 after multiple crashes. Let's check in first with Joe Ranieri in the Weather Center. Joe, any relief for folks in the Gorge anytime soon?
Yes, there'll be some relief, John, by tomorrow afternoon, but they're still going to be dealing with more freezing rain, potentially another quarter to a half of an inch of ice overnight and into tomorrow. But we have this upper level low that's going to be bringing in some more of that warmer conditions. In fact, by tomorrow morning, by the morning commute down in parts of the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley, you'll be looking at temperatures right around the upper 40s to low 50s. But as we zoom in a little bit throughout parts of the Gorge, we are going to be seeing those pockets of freezing rain. So let's bring in the hour-by-hour forecast. Here we are late tonight. We're looking at temperatures out there this evening in the low 40s. The west side of the state, you're not going to be seeing any major freeze over the next few days. In fact, no temperatures below freezing in my 7-day forecast. I'll talk more about that in the show. But as we look at the Hood River area, you can see the Hood River Valley. You're going to be seeing temperatures right at that freezing point overnight and into tomorrow morning. So that salmon color you see is the freezing rain that's going to accumulate basically now and until tomorrow. So here you are, 6:30 tomorrow morning. Still temperatures just above freezing. I'm expecting to see more of a warm up by the later part of the morning into the afternoon with highs right around 38, 39 degrees. So that'll be a welcome sight to people who have been basically just dealing with ice throughout parts of the Columbia River Gorge here the last few days. And you'll notice our temperatures getting into the upper 40s to low 50s. Finally seeing some warmer conditions out there. But with those warmer conditions, we are still going to be seeing some rain showers. John, I'll talk more about that and just how much rain we've seen today and how much rain we'll be seeing heading into this week.
All right, Joe, thank you. Well, now that most of the streets have thawed in the metro area, schools in the metro are reopening tomorrow morning after a week-long closure, but that's not the case for the folks in the Gorge. Ashley Grahams joins us. And Ashley, what's the deal for families tomorrow?
Well, John, that's right. As Portland schools continue to clean up from the storm that whipped through last week, schools in the Gorge are still closed, bracing for yet another round of snow and ice. As a series of winter storms rocked western Oregon, schools closed down. Students got a snow day, or really snow days. Some had a total of 4 days off, including Portland Public School students. Now it's back to class for students in Hillsborough, Beaverton, Tiger Tualatin, and Lake Oswego. PPS is reopening Monday morning, aside from a few schools still facing damage from the storms. Markham Elementary, Forest Park Elementary, Ainsworth Elementary, Robert Gray Middle School, and the Head Start program at the Kelly Annex will be closed. PPS says pipes burst at some of these schools, and they could be closed for at least another week. And for schools in the Columbia River Gorge, winter weather isn't over yet. Take a look at this list of closures and late starts. Corbett schools are closed Monday, Mount Pleasant schools are closed all week, and Duffer schools are operating remotely. And as for Portland Public School students, they've now missed 15 days of instruction thanks to both the teacher strike and this winter weather. The district has not said when these 4 snow days will be made up. John?
All right, Ashley, thank you. Well, it's been a very long week plus for first responders and emergency departments at local hospitals. Multnomah County health officials say that from Wednesday through Friday, there were more than 500 emergency calls placed to 911 each day, including a record 578 calls on Friday. More than 1,000 people have been injured from falls in just the past week. That includes more than 200 people that showed up at ERs and urgent care centers on Friday and again on Saturday. Well, there have been at least 10 storm-related deaths across the Portland metro, resulting from suspected hypothermia, fallen trees, and electrocution from downed power lines. Utility companies have made significant progress in restoring power in the past 36 hours. About 800 customers are still without power tonight. That's up from about 500 this afternoon. And good news in Clark County, you're now down to 0 outages. Elsewhere in western Oregon, Pacific Power is down to just 1 customer without power. However, more than 2,000 eWeb customers in Eugene are still in the dark. Well, there's also been major progress in getting transit back up and running today. All storm-related disruptions on MAX lines have now been cleared. However, the better red closures are in effect through March the 4th, meaning no red line service at all, except for shuttles between Gateway Transit Center and PDX. Shuttles are also running in place of blue and green line trains through Northeast Portland. Also, all streetcar service is now back online. Meanwhile, Amtrak trains between Portland and Seattle are not running after a landslide near Kelso happened on Friday night. Passengers on a train from Seattle say they were stuck for hours. They were told a bus was coming to take them the rest of the way to Portland once they reached Kelso, but that didn't happen.
We were halfway to Kelso when we got a text message from Amtrak saying your train line has been terminated. We could not secure buses. You will be returned back to your original stations.
However, the train's crew had maxed out its shift and had to wait for new staff to arrive, so 5 more hours would pass before the train actually started back to Seattle. Amtrak now says service will resume by 10:45 Tuesday morning. Most Portland parks and recreation facilities, programs, classes, and activities will be closed tomorrow. They're dealing with everything from frozen boilers to burst pipes and ice melt causing ceiling tiles to fall. This in addition to downed trees and damage to electrical systems. Check the Parks and Rec website for more information and updates.
By the time I could reassess myself and come downstairs, I was head to toe dripping in water.
Residents at a Portland apartment building have been displaced since Monday after water flooded down from the upper floor at the Davino Apartments in East Portland. The property manager told tenants the building is a near total loss and they have to move because the building won't be livable for the next 4 to 5 months. Now, we spoke with a resident today who was beginning to salvage what they could from their apartment and start the process of finding a new place to live.
I mean, that's all you can do is look for another place. You can't depend on staying in a hotel for forever because insurance money is going to run out eventually and then you're left with nothing.
The property management group did send an email to residents offering to expedite the move in process to another one of the properties in their portfolio. They told the Willamette Week that they had never seen anything like this happen before. Well, restaurants and bars forced to shut down during the storm are pressuring Oregon leaders to help them recover. They say it's time for city and state leaders to acknowledge that extreme weather events are not rare. This weekend, they sent a letter detailing their demands. Our Sydney Dorner tells us what they're asking for.
Some of their asks include working with utility companies to reduce power outages and creating a relief fund for restaurants with less than 100 employees. Right now, they estimate about 60% of Western Oregon restaurants are in danger of failing. Ice from the winter storm is melting across the Portland area, but restaurants and bars are still stuck in a rut. They say without help from the state and city, their food carts, bars, and restaurants may have to close.
We're still coming off a lot of the challenges of the pandemic. I can say that for this restaurant specifically, we're still not doing the level of business that we were doing in 2019 pre-pandemic. And despite the fact that we have lower revenue, we have rising costs, we have a lot of things sort of working against us.
Restaurants and bars across the state presented 5 ways in which the state and city can help them, stating each dollar spent in an Oregon restaurant puts $2 in the state's economy.
There are plenty of places across the United States where snow, ice, these things happen, and the city, the local government is able to respond, and people are able to stay safe, and people are able still to go about their daily lives, and that's just not the case here.
Some of their demands include more snowplows and salt on the roads, placing a moratorium on commercial evictions for 3 months, and improved response times to outages.
When we lose business, $75,000 of business, that means that we're not buying beer, wine, we're not supporting our local farmers. Everybody is feeling the impact.
Restaurants and bars say after COVID reduced consumer spending and inflation, they just can't afford the hit from the storm. They say if leaders don't act quickly, they just might sink. Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
Oregonians and folks in Southwest Washington are dealing with destruction, power outages, and spoiled food. But if you're a SNAP recipient and you've had to throw away food, you can have it replaced, but you need to act fast. You have 10 days to request replacement benefits from the Oregon Department of Human Services. You have to contact ODHS by email, phone, mail, or in person. Users will be asked to submit a list of food lost and the estimated cost of each reimbursement. And those reimbursements will be made to current EBT cards once processed and can exceed the user's regular monthly allotment. Now be aware, it will take some time for these benefits to process. If you're facing immediate needs, you can call 211 or visit the Food Finder tool at the Oregon Food Bank's website. Well, coming up at 11, a big shakeup just 2 days ahead of the New Hampshire Republican primary. Who's still standing in that once crowded race? Plus, the White House responds to growing unrest in the Middle East after missiles strike a U.S. airbase in Iraq. Stay tuned.